Aloha, this is Santa Surfing. Welcome to Beach Broadcast. Today is Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. Oh my gosh, this month is moving really, really fast. Thanks so much for joining us on santasurfing.locals.com. It's a place where those of like minds in 5D that are just ascending, that just have the same kind of, you dive deep, and yet at the same time you have a very, very inspirational and spiritual outlook on life. And I just want to say it's a great place to be. If you want to find out where all my links are and where I am, you can find our daily shows on YouTube, and then on Rumble I'm just posting a few times short videos, but you can see the full videos on YouTube, so please join me over there. And then all my social media, I only have one account for each of these, so you can go ahead and follow me there. How are you all doing? How's your heart? How's everything going? I just want to say this. You are the best. You all rock. You're the reason why we are seeing many changes. You are the reason why we have now an administration that's getting things done. Well, most of them are getting things done. And I just want to say thank you. And don't think for one moment God doesn't see what you've done and all the work that you've put out. And I want to say I just love you and I thank you. Today's podcast will be a lot more than what I have on my title: Autism, Truths and Treatment, Antifa Designation, and God chose you to make things happen. It's incredible because of you. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I have my past video right here, but I'm not going to play this clip again. You can see the full clip of the UK speech and presser with President Trump and Keir Starmer here, the one that was in Checkers. But I did want to highlight a couple of things. During that podcast, which was on September 19th of 2025, Keir Starmer, he was talking in this speech, from the 7:05 to the 13:05 minute mark, he was the one that was speaking. But he was talking about changing lives, AI, quantum, and cures. And I thought, oh, that kind of ties in. Again, we're seeing some proofs that's coming out. And I'll say this, man, I'll tell you, I sure hope that after this podcast, you go to the mirror and you just say, thank you, God in heaven, for using me. I have a purpose. Which I forgot to mention, I kind of go in squirrel. Yet at the same time, we still need the armor of God. So on my channel, now this is the channel I have today. I'm going to share some of the big news that's going on. There's on here, it's the shorts. Under the shorts, it is going to be on scriptures. So I had one here on Follow the Pen. We had to test that out, but it's going to be on Bible scripture. So we're going to be putting Bible scriptures on hope. Now, if you wanted to go ahead and see the whole library of it, I'm going to tell, I know my assistant listens to this, and I'm just going to say, girl, you rock. So we're going to be putting it here. It's going to be like different kinds of headings on hope. So if you want to find something on love, we're adding more to this week. On unity, purpose, your purpose, hope, all the posts, you can go ahead and click on those and it will give you the different shorts to listen to. They're just strictly Bible verses that can kind of nourish your soul. Okay, back to not being squirrel. So when they had all of these things that they talked about, the cures, this is what happened. President Trump, he also mentioned that he was going to make an announcement on autism and a treatment. President Trump and Robert Kennedy released data about the rise of autism from 1 to 20,000, and it's now to 1 to 31, or 1 to 12, meaning that out of every it used to be out of every 20,000 children, there's one that has autism today. And that was 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Today, it's every 31 children, there's one that has autism. And the information, they also talked about that there was a causal link with pregnant women taking Tylenol, resulting to their child's autism. And it was, the full speech link is right here. So just click on the article link below and you can get this, and it'll be the full speech if you want to listen to it. It's pretty informative, but I'm going to give you some of the highlights. Let me just go ahead and play this. This is about a 4-minute clip or a 5-minute clip, and I'm just going to, it has some of the highlights of what President Trump, essentially what the entire speech was all about. The whole thing is about, with the presser, is about almost 2 hours. But this is just President Trump's initial talking points. That's only 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. So I've been waiting for this meeting for 20 years, actually. And it's not that everything's 100% understood or known, but I think we've made a lot of strides. Wish it was done a long time ago. Today, we're delighted to be joined by America's top medical and public health professionals as we announce historic steps to confront the crisis of autism. Horrible, horrible crisis. I want to thank the man who brought this issue to the forefront of American politics along with me. And we actually met in my office, is it like 20 years ago, Bobby? It's probably 20 years ago in New York. I was a developer, as you probably heard, and I always had very strong feelings about autism and how it happened and where it came from. And he and I don't know, the word got out, and I wouldn't say that people were very understanding of where we were, but it's turning out that we understood a lot more than a lot of people who studied it, we think. And I say we think because I don't think they were really letting the public know what they knew. Thanks as well to the director of the National Institute of Health, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty McCary. These are great people. Administrator of the Centers for Medicine and Medicaid Services, Dr. Mehmet Oz, and Acting Assistant Secretary of HHS, Dr. Dorothy Fink. So thank you all. Thank you, Dorothy, very much. The meteoric rise in autism is among the most alarming public health developments in history. There's never been anything like this. Just a few decades ago, 1 in 10,000 children had autism. So that's not a long time. And I've always heard, you know, they say a few, but I think it's a lot less time than that. It used to be 1 in 20,000, then 1 in 10,000. And I would say that's probably 18 years ago. And now it's 1 in 31, but in some areas it's much worse than that, if you can believe it, 1 in 31. And I gave numbers yesterday. For boys, it's 1 in 12. I was told that's in California where they have for some reason, a more severe problem. But whether it's 1 in 12 or 1 in 31, can you imagine? That's down from 1 in 20,000 and 1 in 10,000. Well, let's see how we say that. Acetaminophen. Is that okay? Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol. During pregnancy can be associated with a very increased risk of autism. So taking Tylenol is not good. All right, I'll say it. It's not good. For this reason, they are strongly recommending that women limit Tylenol use during pregnancy unless medically necessary. Pump the baby, load it up with stuff. You'll do it over a period of 4 times or 5 times. I've been so into this issue for so many years just because I couldn't understand how a thing like this could happen. And you know it's artificially induced. It's not like something that when you go from all of those, you know, healthy babies to a point where I don't even know structurally if a country can afford it. And that's the least of the problems. To have families destroyed over this is just so terrible. I also, and we've already done this, we want no mercury in the vaccine. We want no aluminum in the vaccine. The MMR, I think, should be taken separately. This is based on what I feel, the mumps, measles, and the 3 should be taken separately. Good things about certain elements of genius that can be given to a baby, and the baby can get better, and in some cases maybe substantially better. Not going to be easy, but be a lot easier if it didn't happen in the first place, as these great parents fully understand, right? They fully understand. I feel so terribly for. I have so many friends with autistic children. It's a tough situation. Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. But with Tylenol, don't take it. Don't take it. And if you can't live, if your fever is so bad, you have to take one because there's no alternative to it.
Well, that tells you how long, minimally, that President Trump has been preparing himself for a to be the president of the United States. And he was talking about the autism is artificially induced. He is just going there. And he is even addressing the establishment. So I'm just going to give you some other highlights about this. And don't worry, I'll tell you in just a moment about what they're recommending. So President Trump, he's been waiting 20 years to make this announcement. He even met with Bobby Kennedy. See how long the plan has been in the works, guys? They were discussing autism back then. People that haven't taken a vaccine, he was even talking about that they don't have autism. They even said the Amish don't have autism. Trump he was saying taking Tylenol is not good. Trump wants no aluminum and mercury in a vaccine. He kept stressing combining the two. Again, I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. This is not any kind of advice. What President Trump ultimately, what he's trying to do is end autism. And he kept saying, don't take it. Don't take Tylenol. Don't take it. He must have said that 20 times during his entire speech. And then Robert Kennedy came out and he was talking about it was interesting. He was talking about the findings of I'm having a hard time saying it, acetaminophen, which is Tylenol, used during pregnancy can cause ADHD and autism. He even talked about today the FDA will issue a safety notice change on acetaminophen. Therapy can improve children with ASD and they will continue to perform studies. The FDA has data on acetaminophen associated with neurological disorders. This is the FDA representative that talked about that. And even cited the dean of Harvard Health said there is a causal link between acetaminophen in pregnant women and autism. How big is that? And Dr. Oz announced prescription leucovorin to treat autism. And the FDA came back and said they've already talked to the manufacturer of leucovorin, and they're increasing their dosage or their production so that they can go ahead and get that out there and administered. So that is the treatment that they are talking about is leucovorin. Interesting enough, they didn't say it was a pharmaceutical drug. They didn't say it was a cure, and they didn't say it was a therapy. So I'm wondering if a person or a child only needs to take it a few times, if the treatment is only a few times. They did say it is prescription. So you need to go to your doctor in order to get this. So I would love to hear more information. As I see it, I'll share it and kind of give you insights to this. And they even had a couple of moms that came up there and they started to talk about their situation as well. Those that have extreme autism, children with extreme autism, and then those that they function well. It's just that they are not able to talk and they're, let's say, 4 years old. They're not able to, but they want to articulate words and they're happy children, but they just can't speak. Before the speech, I wanted to do a little research and digging, and I did an AI search on what can help with autism, and it's leucovorin. And guess what? Fox News actually came out with an article. No other news covered this on February 22nd, 2025, talking about leucovorin. Now, granted, you have to check. There are going to be side effects. Some people were saying, I looked at the side effects, and there is somebody that was even recommending something different. She was recommending. I want to thank you so much, Robert Malloy, and also Phoenix Rising, for sharing this. Hang on just for a second. The cure for autism is called Suramin. And how could we have known that a relatively cheap medication costing less than $30, and that has been around for almost 100 years, was the answer? This is a quote from Dr. Sylvia Theos, and going back to her quote, only one dose given to kids with ADS who were nonverbal, and they began speaking in sentences within 9 hours. And then this is where Phoenix came in and shared a little bit. Here we go. So she says, please people try this. I recommended this Suramin with a zeolite and nano salt bath. Told parents to investigate. Had an extremely autistic child. Her mom listened and the child was speaking in 5 weeks. Please take a look at these. Again, I'm just sharing what's out there. It's not medical advice. It's not any kind of advice. You decide. But I just wanted to give you and enlighten you on all of this great information that's coming out. So thank you very, very much, Robert and Phoenix. Well, and also President Trump, during the presser part where he was answering questions from some of the lame media, not all of them were lame, but some of them were, and he was just saying he just called out the establishment. They were citing things from the establishment. He goes, that's from the establishment. So go ahead if you want to take a listen to the initial part of the speech. The presentation is about 45 minutes, but with the presser, it turns out to be about 2 hours. President Trump did he intentionally mispronounce acetaminophen? Okay, he's very, very articulate, but did he? So I went ahead and did a little gematria decode on this, and it says 124, one of the decodes. 124 is plus, 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 plus. Okay, so does that mean the Rothschild, the whole triangle is down, gone, right? And the Rothschilds, Soros, right? Is that what's going on? So is, again, trying to send us a hint. If you actually take a look at some of the decodes on acetaminophen, gematria, take a look at this. So there's acetaminophen. Again, you can just put it in gematria. It calculates a number for you, gives you 3 numbers. It is time. That is the one that caught my attention. President Trump, their team, they were coming in very hot on this. He didn't hold back. That's how he introduced. He just said he's been waiting 20 years for this, and that was big. They don't want the children to suffer with autism. They don't want the parents to suffer either, because the parents suffer just as much, including the entire family. According to President Trump, this disease was induced by drugs, and I'm paraphrasing that, but he said it was artificially induced. Many viewers have used natural supplements for their pain in lieu of something over the counter or a prescription drug. I use this, Pain Absolve. I'm not giving a pitch, but I just want to let you know this is a natural supplement. This is something that's a company that's been in business for over 20 years and makes their products here in America. And that what I find about this product, Pain Absolve, is that it heals. It's even healing tendons too. You guys know since I've started podcasting how many surgeries I've had on my knee, on my shoulders. So you guys all know the pain I go through, but I will say this, I don't feel drowsy. I take it, and within a half hour, you can still drive, operate heavy machinery, whatever. It doesn't affect you, and it does take away a lot of the pain, and it is a natural supplement. So that's just a recommendation. The world will soon learn the truth about the illnesses caused by big pharma, big pharmaceutical drugs. Will the vaccines be next? Once that truth is made public, will the world finally wake up? I don't know. These horrid acts from big pharmaceutical companies are, in my opinion, crimes against humanity. Now, inasmuch as many have suffered effects and tragic events with their loved ones, will these big pharmaceutical companies get their justice, right? Now, many of you are saying, yes, my child, though, is suffering. I am suffering. My family's been suffering. We've just been living with this. We love our child. We love our family. But any help would be wonderful. But then there's maybe a part of you that says, I'd love to see the justice, maybe the wrath happen on those big pharmaceutical companies that should have notified the world. And if it was 20 years ago that President Trump met with Bobby Kennedy, why didn't they say something back then? That's just all I'm asking. So President Trump, over the weekend, on the 20th, he wrote this, he posted this and he is pretty much directed, in my humble opinion, to Pam Bondi. But he wants Pam Bondi to, justice must be served now. I'm not just thinking about the political justice. I'm thinking about all the corrupt organizations, entities, the crimes against humanity entities, or these foundations that, quote unquote, George Soros has, and you know how everything is funneled to him, all that. Is that what he's really implying? President Trump, he designates, and so he's talking about justice. Then what happened? I'm kind of jumping back and forth because I kind of want to cover it by topic. So President Trump, what did he do? Yesterday, he designated Antifa as a domestic terroristic organization, which is finally what we needed. Now, again, why? Well, it kind of covers this. Before I get to that, though, Netherlands has already declared that as well. They actually... Of course, I'm just posting the community notes. The Dutch parliament passed a non-binding motion urging the government to label Antifa as a terrorist group. Okay, so that's a good first step. However, Viktor Orban in Hungary, he will now designate Antifa as a terror organization. This is big because now we've got 3 nations, 3 countries that are doing this. And now today, President Trump spoke at the UN, and he is Well, he's trying to get everybody to rally together, but I won't go through that today. I'm going to be covering other things today, and then the UN speech will be on my next podcast. But this was what I find interesting. Over the weekend, a guest on Jesse Waters' show, her name is Karlin Borisenko, who shared that she was going undercover with Antifa. Listen to what she shares in this clip. It's just a very short clip.
Karlin Borisenko is an undercover investigative journalist for Decode the Left who's infiltrated these terror cells. Karlin, tell me about how these people train. They look pretty militaristic.
Yeah, absolutely. They do have sessions where they bring in people with military experience. Anti-war is a very big thing for Antifa, so they do hand-to-hand combat trainings. I was just undercover with them in New York City over the weekend where they had a whole self-defense class where they were teaching people how to violently, confront the police, but also defend themselves if they needed to be put in that position.
And why do they always get out of jail so quickly? You see all these people get popped, they get bailed right out, and charges never stick. How is that?
Well, Antifa, actually, they train people on how to get arrested. And it's interesting with far left subcultures because they actually volunteer to get arrested and go through this type of training where they are provided legal support, they are provided lawyers, they are provided all of this stuff with mutual aid. And so as soon as they get arrested, Antifa basically goes down to the jail and they bail them out and they are all set up with a lawyer and ready to go. So they plan all of this stuff out ahead of time and they have the resources set up for people to be able to be taken care of.
Yeah, I mean, obviously someone's paying for their legal representation. What is the core mission of Antifa? Is it anarchy? Are they anarchists?
Yeah, Antifa are anarchists. Their primary goal is the violent overthrow of the federal government. I cannot emphasize this enough. We've been hearing a lot of talk about civil war over the last couple of years between Democrats and Republicans, red versus blue. I firmly believe that the real civil war we have coming is the radical revolutionary socialists and communists in Antifa versus the federal government. That is their goal. That is their only goal. And people need to start taking this problem very, very seriously.
That was big. Makes me wonder what exactly is her role. She's an undercover investigator, but so she's putting her face out there. She's got to be protected. Dear Lord, keep her safe, please. When she was talking about how Antifa, they have lawyers already lined up, they get bailed out. So they're well funded, right? Well, what happens if they get bailed out? Remember the cashless bail that President Trump talked about and how he put the kibosh on that now? Aren't we seeing a lot of clips now on all types of social media how these violent thugs, they're so used to they might be multiple offenders, they're going to court and suddenly the court system is saying, no, we're going to treat you as an adult, and they start weeping in the courtroom? Is that what we're going to see? So the no cashless bail, President Trump put that in place. President Trump needed to get a lot of judges confirmed confirmed in the Senate. So the Senate they already nominated 48 in one day. They nominated 48 Trump nominations. Now there were a combination of judges and other individuals. So again, are they pushing the other remaining 52 nominations through quickly without the news catching on to that? And then those judges are going to be the ones that are going to be hearing the trials. So these lawyers that are so used to liberal judges that let them go, the lawyers are going to be going, what? Wait a minute. We've never had this before. And the judge is going to say something. Again, I'm just thinking outside the box, guys. But when she said, what we have coming, she was talking about, she said the Civil War used to be with the Republicans and the Democrats. And now she's talking, it's about Antifa and the overthrow of the government. So what we have coming. And I thought, oh boy. Well, I went ahead and I went in that thread and I just asked a question. You can click on here and you can also click on here. It'll take you to the thread. She answered my curious question. She thanked Jesse Waters. I said, thanks so much for the guts to go undercover. So is there a civil war coming up? That was my question. Her answer was, we'll see, I guess. They're going to try to overthrow the government at some point. They talk about it often. So we need to have be aware, be alert, be ready, because that's just one component. What are they going to do? What is President Trump going to do? Again, I want you to, it's a lot to dissect, guys, but Stephen Miller, he was with Maria Bartiromo, and he was telling Maria about the statute of limitations for overthrowing the government of the United States, that there is no statute of limitations for that, because isn't that considered treason? Well, check this out.
Well, do you believe we will actually get accountability? We've been demanding accountability now for a decade. Our audience is well aware that this is the biggest political scandal we have ever seen, and an effort to undermine and take down a duly elected president. But now we want to see the tricksters face the consequences. Will they?
I have complete confidence in the Department of Justice to follow these facts, to follow this new, further avalanche of evidence, and to take all the necessary legal steps to ensure that the wrongdoers, the coup plotters, the schemers, and the insurrectionists are held fully accountable under the laws and Constitution of these United States. Yes, Maria, I believe that.
Now, last weekend, John Ratcliffe, CIA director who is a former prosecutor, former DNI, told us that the statute of limitations, the 5-year statute, does not apply when it comes to conspiracy. And he says the conspiracy is ongoing because they still won't admit it. The conspiracy is still happening. So what is your take on what Ratcliffe told us last week?
No, he's completely right. So several of the statutes I mentioned, we have not even come close to eclipsing the statute of limitations. But more than that, it is an ongoing and continuing conspiracy. It continued through the entirety of President Trump's first term. It continued through the entirety of President Biden's term in office. And it continues to this day. There are still deep state coup plotters who are trying to conceal and hide this information on behalf of the people they are protecting. There are still staffers in Democrat offices who know the full truth, who are concealing that truth. So all of this behavior, all of this conduct collectively means the conspiracy hasn't ended, is ongoing. Comey in particular has throughout the years engaged in conduct and lies, public statements, and testimony in front of Congress. False testimony whose sole purpose was to perpetuate and continue the conspiracy. So I have every hope and expectation that the Department of Justice, under the leadership of our courageous Attorney General, will follow these facts and follow the evidence and deliver justice. Because if we have a country where we can continue to have FBI careerists and CIA careerists, deep staters, who will fabricate and doctor evidence, who will create and produce fake material, fabricated material, phony information to try to go after their political enemies up to and including the president. If we continue to create the impression and the reality that there is not a criminal, a severe criminal penalty for such conduct, it will never stop. It will never desist. It will keep on going forever. And we will continue to have a country that is sabotaged endlessly by the production of fake documents, fake material, fake plots against democratically elected officials. We can't have that. There must be consequences.
Well,
Stephen Miller, he's not holding back at all. All right. So he's already gone out there. He's already talked about what's going to happen, that they will be in exile, and he's already preparing. He's laying out the groundwork. He's talking about this. There is no statute of limitations for all of this conspiracy plot. And if you notice the headline, it's on the Russian collusion. So there we know it has to do with Obama. It has to do with Comey, Clapper, Brennan, and the whole gang of that top brass dirty FBI. President Trump over the weekend, he did post this twice, the same message twice, kept them both up there. And it is one is at 1831 minute mark and the other one's at 1844 minute mark, or a timestamp. So one message: I have reviewed the 30 statements and posts saying essentially same old story as last time. All talk, no action, nothing is being done. What about Comey, Schiff, Letitia? They're all guilty as heck, but nothing is going to be done. Then we almost put a Democrat-supported U.S. attorney in Virginia with a really bad Republican past, a woke rhino who was never going to do his job. That's why two of the worst Democrat senators pushed him so hard. This is part of one of Trump's nominations. He even lied to the media, and he said he quit. Actually, he didn't quit, and that we had no case. No, I fired him. So there he says, I fired him. There's a great case, and there is a great case, and many legal pundits say so. Lindsay is a really good lawyer and likes you a lot. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and our credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now, President DJT. So he's really addressing Pam Bondi. Do something, do it quickly, and do it now. What happened is this: he went ahead and he went and had a nomination for the a U.S. attorney for Virginia, and that. And then of course, red flag, 2 Democrats are really pushing him and they wanted him in. And then President Trump fired that guy. So he didn't last more than, I don't know, maybe a couple hours, and then he got fired. And then eventually now he's trying to push another person to get in for Virginia. Maryland, Virginia, those are going to be very, very important. D.C., again, we know that JAG is going to be dealing with misdemeanor cases as well as, I'm sure, felony cases too. So let's see what happens. Let's look at the 1831 Q drop on this one here. It's kind of interesting because, and then the other one, I'm not going to toggle up anymore, 1844, but 1831. Does POTUS make statements that are false, knowing what you know now? Think Haiti, Watergate Commission. There's a video clip you can listen to. Watergate Commission, listen carefully. Truth, surrounded by evil, never stop praying. Where we go when we go all, okay? And then 1844 is the illusion of choice, and it's really talking about Disney and General Electric and all of the symbolisms behind that, right? Media consolidation, okay, is the name of this picture. Fake news consolidation, propaganda, arm of the D Party, define antitrust laws, okay? So we're diving deeper. The Sherman Act outlaws every contract, combination, or conspiracy in restraint of trade, monopolization, attempted monopolization, or conspiracy or combination to monopolize. So you can go through here, but it kind of partially closes with Google plus FBI Facebook plus Twitter. Change we can believe in. Okay, well this Q post ends with could a new Telecommunications Act be on the way? Okay. Well, what happened today? Jim Jordan, what did he announce about YouTube? YouTube will offer all content creators to return to YouTube. Here's another Q and Trump com proof. It all ties into a Trump post with a timestamp, with or signal or some message in his post, and then you line it up with a Q post, and then you get this. So this all happened in a matter of days. Due to our oversight efforts, this is from Jim Jordan today, Google commits to offer all creators previously kicked off of YouTube due to political speech violations to return to the platform. There's a little bit more. There's a letter in here. I just want to give you the highlights. You can click on here. It takes you to the thread of what Jim Jordan put out there. Why is this big? Because, okay, we got a problem with the media. They're not sharing any good news about Trump. They're only spinning everything. They're not sharing any good about what the Trump administration is doing, about what happened in the UK, about all these big things, right? The media is still spinning. They're on their last, they're fighting for their lives, their freedom. And then we have like this confusion going on with the fake MAGAs out there, and it's like, oh my gosh. So we have a lot of content creators. So think about this: a lot of fake MAGAs, a lot of people, quote unquote MAGAs, have never been suspended, never got the purge, they still have channels. Well, how is that even possible, right? I am personally leaving Rumble because I don't want to deal with their I'm moving on to YouTube with a tiny little itsy bitsy channel because I just don't want to deal with them. And was this a strategy? Was this a white hat strategy to get me back on YouTube? Right? I don't know. Kind of interesting. But going back to this, why is this important? YouTube has 2.3 billion users. YouTube is the powerhouse for video platforms. That's where people go to watch a podcast or news, right? So I'm wondering, is there something very big that's going to be breaking that they are going to need all real MAGA hands on deck, right? President Trump at the UN on today, and it kind of ties in with what we were talking about. So I'm kind of jumping a lot of topics here, but listen to this. The UN introduces President Trump as Excellency Donald Trump. Listen to this.
The Assembly will hear an address by His Excellency Donald Trump, President of the United States of America. I request protocol to escort His Excellency and invite him to address the Assembly. The Assembly will hear an address by His Excellency.
Okay. I don't know, guys, but this is where you were making waves. Everything I share in all my podcasts is vindication. You have all been on the mark, and I want to say thank you. God chose you for a reason because you're revealing so much of this. Why is this important? Because we know that President Trump, his role is a lot bigger than the President of the United States. He's got a worldwide role. What that means for all the viewers in all the other different countries that are just praying and hoping for something good to happen to your country, hang tight. All right, so it's little by little drops coming out. Man, I'll tell you, I feel like the dam is going to break and it's all going to come out all at the same time. So more on the UN speech on my next podcast, but I just ask you, be prepared, stay alert. In my opinion, the swamp has to get their justice before we see the greatness. Things are moving really, really fast on this term of President Trump, and we'll see how things start to unfold. But remember, the Lord will fight for you, and you only have to be silent, which means silent and faith in Him. Whatever is going to be released, whatever is going to be coming out, just be prepared and just be there for each other. But let's know that in the end, it's all God's plan. I will be having my live later on today, and I'll be kind of opening my heart a little bit about some things. But it's like sometimes I share God my plans, and He just kind of giggles, and He's like, okay. And it's like I feel Him patting me on my head, like, okay, little girl. I'm like, oh, and then maybe He's giggling in a cute way saying, oh, but my plans are bigger and better for you. So do know God's plan is always going to be for the best. And I just want to say thank you for making the many things that we're seeing right now, the good things happen, and just to stay alert and just to be alert and to let the world know whenever you see something to say something. God bless you abundantly. Have yourselves a beautiful afternoon, day, evening, and I will have a show very soon. Aloha.